Hi, welcome to Yoke's YouTube channel. Once again, this is Liz Matthew. I'm the regulated Canadian immigration consultant, and nice to have you all here. The series that we were talking about previously in regards to how to challenge your refusals. So, refusal rates are quite high for temporary residence application or permanent residence application. Yes, there is an option in place, but it got to be used wisely, and there are cases where decisions do come out positively even after you do receive a refusal. So, but it is a longer route. It is a lawyer does have to take you to court, and we will have to address it with IRCC. And the court does take this matter, and they will discuss how fairly this was addressed, how fairly your application was looked at. So we will be looking at a particular case today, how that case was, why that person was taken to court, why IRCC was taken to court, why the rejection happened, what is the story behind it. So if you do have any such case that you would like us to look at, please leave in your suggestion comments in the comments box, and we will be happy to help you out, and your feedback is always welcome. So let's dive into this particular case. So basically, to begin with, a question that comes into our mind: that can someone really be denied permanent residence in Canada because of a job they had 10 years ago? Well, that's exactly what happened in this court case, Huang versus Canada. So let's break down this real life case and what it tells about IRCC stands on organized crime, even when you were not convicted in the case. So the case summary in regards to this, what really happened in this situation is Huang, he came to Canada as a student in 2008, and then he applied for permanent residence under the Canadian Experience class in 2016, but he was denied due to alleged link to a fraudulent testing scheme at a school where he worked 10 years earlier than when he submitted his application. So what was IRCC's argument? So IRCC, they believed that Huang was part of an organized crime network. And how they proved it was through evidences such as phone records, the payments through his bank statements, and connection to employer who pled guilty. So the story plot line is basically he was working for a certain employer. The employer did plead guilty due to a testing scheme. It was a language testing scheme, and there was some kind of a money transaction between Huang and the employer that he used to work for, not when he submitted his PR application. And the payment and the money transaction was done prior to when he even started working with that organization. So while the money transaction was done, Huang was not working for the employer. But IRCC did dig into deeply into his accounts to see what was the relation between that Huang and his employer, and that was the evidence that they collected. And IRCC, they invoked Section 37(1)(a), inadmissibility due to an organized criminality. So that is what they had charged on him. And Huang's defense, he denied knowledge of, he basically said, I had no knowledge of any wrongdoing. That's what Huang said. And he claimed that he joined after the scheme had ended, and said the payments were for personal loans, not illegal referrals. So back and forth, there were payments, and Huang did say that the payment was made by the guilty employer to Huang for some kind of personal loans, and they were not any kind of referral money or anything of that sort. And he did say that he did not think that he was doing anything wrong, as he was not aware of any kind of scam or schemes that was going on. That's what he said. But what is the federal court's decision on this particular case is that the court sided with IRCC. So what IRCC basically said, that the decision was reasonable and was backed up by clear evidence. Emphasize reasonable grounds to believe under Section 33, not proof beyond doubt. So that is what the final decision from the federal court regarding this testing scheme scam. So even if this particular individual, while he applied for his permanent residence, while the scheme was going on, he was not working for that employer. But this was way before he even started working for the employer the transaction was done. So when the employer pled guilty for the particular incident, so whoever was in connection with that individual were all caught. They did get in touch with that. And it just happened that Huang had submitted his permanent residence during that time. So the court final outcome from that court was that IRCC did make the right decision and they did fairly look at that application. So that is what it's all about, fairness. That's what judicial review looks at, how fair the officer was in making that decision. And what basically this case teaches is that even indirect involvement can lead to inadmissibility. No need for criminal conviction. It's just reasonable grounds is enough. So even if you are not convicted for a particular crime, you could be charged for being part of the criminal activity. So this is what he got. IRCC had invoked Section 37(1)(a) inadmissibility due to organized criminality. He was not actually related to the crime. He didn't do the crime, but he was part of the organized crime. So he did get an inadmissibility due to that. And so federal court rarely overturns immigration officers' decision unless they are clearly unreasonable. So being unreasonable in making a decision, if the court finds that IRCC didn't look at all of the reasonable grounds, yes, then the federal court determines to overturn the decision through judicial review. Do you think that this was fair? And should a past job define your future in Canada? Drop in your thoughts and in the comments. And if you are navigating immigration yourself, hit subscribe, and we are breaking down real cases every week. Thanks for tuning in.